Hey, in this video I'll be talking about the first volume of Seraph of the End. I won't be talking about anything beyond the first volume because I haven't watched the anime or read any more of the manga. So I came into this completely blind. So I won't be able to talk about the foreshadowing or deeper story or something else. Only what happens in the first volume. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the story starts off Seven Deadly Sins style. It gives you a brief description of what happened in the history and what things are at now pretty much. In short, there was a virus that killed 90% of the population, leaving only the kids under the age of 13 alive. Cut to the present moment and this kid is screaming about killing vampires before getting his blood extracted. This kid is you. You might be thinking, what exactly is this loud, dumb, and ugly guy doing here? Well, this loud, dumb, and ugly guy is actually the protagonist. Wait, before you click off, I promise the sidecast is better. A little. The other notable character as of so far is Mika or Musikal. You might be thinking, why is this kid not the main character? He's smart, handsome, and more quiet. Well, that's because he's dead. Yup, completely dead. Brutally killed. There's absolutely no chance he's alive. That's right. That's what you call foreshadowing. Anyways, getting back to the story. At this point, Yu is still shouting at the vampires how he will kill them all. Because now, he's gotten super strong after doing 10,000 push-ups every day. Mika tells you that he has been going to the Snowball or something every day and giving him his blood so he can get any reward he wants. Yu, actually understandably, gets really mad at Mika. But then Yu becomes like a little baby because Mika asked Yu what they all wanted to eat. Because now they can afford something better than whatever they were being served all this time. And Yu just tells him, I don't want anything from you, which like, man, way too far. Later on, Mika comes back and knows Yu is awake, waiting for him, only for Yu to end up not saying anything to him and end up going to bed. But then, Mika tells Yu to wake the others up and that they were all escaping. Yu is understandably confused, but Mika says that for his reward, he got a map, which showed the way out. So they started running to the exit, and just as they turned the final corner, there was the same noble that Mika had been seeing, and now the noble was starting to kill off every child. Mika shouts at Yu to escape, but after quite the struggle, Yu runs as the sole survivor of that farm, only to get outside and see that everything was not completely destroyed, which he's confused by, only to be approached by this guy that tells him that he's the prophecy child, or something like that. That's how chapter 1 ended. Shortly, chapters 2 and 3 were taking place in this school, where we learned that he was temporarily expelled because of his uncooperation. So he was enlisted in this school because he was expelled until he made a friend, because the Moon Demon Company captain said, quote unquote, we don't need friendless virgins in this company. So he had to make a friend and introduce him to the captain. There's also this girl watching over him to report any uncooperation from Yu to the captain. Then some character interactions happen, but the most important is with this guy, whose name I just can't seem to remember. Then a vampire attack happens, and even though Yu did amazingly, especially considering it was without cursed gear, but still, Yu couldn't defeat him because the vampire could regenerate. So after a struggle where the vampire is on top of him and close to killing him, the captain arrives and kills the vampire and reinforces the idea of him getting a friend before him joining the company. But then the guy from before comes jumping at him and hugs him very tightly and ends up knocking out Yu on accident. The captain sees all this and asks the girl who was accompanying him who he is. She responds with, he seems to be a friend. When Yu wakes up, he learns that he has been re-enlisted in the Demon Moon Company. In the last chapter of this volume, chapter 3, Yu learns about the Forbidden Chamber and goes in with his friend and girl accomplice. And Yu, in typical Yu fashion, goes to the cursed tool and single-handedly, with no help, starts fighting the demon out of his heart to be able to control the demon in the cursed gear. After a mental battle, Yu emerges victorious, and the girl says this is very impressive because she sensed a weak heart in him, and he did it with no help or assistance, which everybody else used. In the final pages of this volume, we see that Mika is actually alive, and the noble knows this, and they seem to be working together to some degree, although Mika doesn't like it. And that's all that happens in this volume. I want to mention some strengths I saw in the manga so far. Firstly, I think the art style and paneling are both very good. There's a difference between good art and understandable art. For example, if your manga has good art or an action scene and the readers had to look for a prolonged period of time to understand what exactly is happening in the panel, then that is good art, but not good paneling or storytelling. While if your story has good art and the reader can understand it easily, then it is perfect. Some manga that do this right is Kaiju Number 8, Sakamoto Days, and Seraph of the End. During an action scene, the reader knows and understands everything that is going on at all times. But a thing I noticed about the art a lot is that there were very often white backgrounds backgrounds. Like, it felt like there were white backgrounds every other panel, which take that as you will, but that's just a fact. I like the realism in the sidecast too. They understand while Yu is a strong piece on the board of the battleground, they can make even more use out of him if he starts cooperating, even if that's a little bit. So by sending him to the school, they're pretty much investing in Yu's potential. And as I said earlier, I like the sidecast, especially the girl and the captain. I like the captain because he's cool, and the girl because she's a good character. Logical for the world of Seraph of the End. I like the fast world building too. It feels like they're giving the reader more and more reason to come back. New concepts every chapter. Now, to be honest, I read chapters 1, 2, 3 like 2 years ago now. And those 3 chapters happen to be exactly the chapters that were included in this volume. Though I didn't remember much apart from the first chapter. I also remember that I didn't really like anything after the first chapter. So I stopped reading after chapter 3. But now, I really like them. And that's it. Seraph of the End is an awesome series, which I will quite probably keep reading, as it is quite interesting. And I want to see the full story of Yu and the world of Seraph of the End. But anyways, if you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe, as I post videos every single Monday. And I've been doing this for like close to half a year now. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And on the next episode of the first volume Warrior, please give me some suggestions for the new name for this series. I will be talking about the next volume 1, which I've read, which is Black Butler Volume 1. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!